what number are we on now? Floor 14? Okay, so we must almost be done. I think it said like 200 or something. So what do you think? It's gonna go to like number 20 maybe? Look at that guy. There's a couple of recolors in this game, but they usually do a pretty good job with it, not making it like too samey, you know? Like, I love Digimon to death, but they are just so bad with the recolors. And so is the Dragon Quest series. Oh my gosh, their recolors are just pathetic. I mean, I know that. Okay, so if you're a game company and you're lucky enough to land a deal with an artist as famous as Akira Toriyama, you can't expect somebody like that to just... Wow, that's a dead end. I gotta go back. To just, like, drop everything and only work on your game, you know what I mean? Like, you can't even begin to pay somebody like Akira Toriyama enough to do as many assets as you might want for as big of a series as Dragon Quest is supposed to be, right? I don't think the first Dragon Quest had Akira Toriyama's art in it. And there was nothing about it that distinguished it from the original Story of Ys, YS, that one. I forget what it was. It's the Legend of Ys or Story of Ys or something like that. And there was nothing that distinguished it from the first Earthbound, aka Mother. And there was nothing that distinguished it from Seventh Saga and a whole lot of other games that were just very, like, bird's eye view of the landscape, top-down RPGs. Like, the first Breath of Fire was like that. There's another one that I always forget that's named similar to Breath of Fire. I forget what it's called. But yeah, the first of those titles were all very similar, because that's, first of all, that's what the systems were capable of at the time. Oh, that's why I'm getting confused. There's two little jumpy things on either side. So that's what it was capable of on, like, the first NES and the SNES, early SNES games. And we're talking about, like, DOS systems. Way before PS1. So the very early stuff, like the... Oops, wrong guy. Yeah, the very early consoles to early PC games had this sort of graphical limitations. And so it was really good at the time, because, I mean, we went from the ASCII, ASCII sort of graphics where they're just basically lines. Oh, I got distracted there. Somebody came into my room and started talking to me. Whoa, let's not get hit by that. Yeah, but so what I was trying to get at was the original Dragon Quest really was not anything particularly special, whereas they're both games by Squeenix and Square Enix. Final Fantasy kind of broke the mold by having that sort of a better, like, combat system, which turned into less top-down. So it's the same as Star Ocean. I played more Star Ocean games than I had Final Fantasy, actually. But Final Fantasy and Star Ocean are very similar. Star Ocean being more of sort of sci-fi twist, but the Final Fantasy sort of formula and combat system. So Final Fantasy sort of broke the mold from what most RPGs were doing at the time. So Dragon Quest kind of was left in the dark, and it really had nothing kind of making it stand out. So it really kind of needed like a, you know, like a retool to make it kind of special, and that was, oh geez, did not move fast enough that time. And that was like a little bit of artistic uniqueness, you know, like a lot of the Square Enix series have their own sort of artistic motif, and they pretty much stick with it for the whole series. So let's go to the next level. 213. So yeah, to get, whoa, wow, excuse you. To get Akira Toriyama as the artist for Dragon's Quest must have been like a huge breakthrough for them, because they finally had like a selling point for Dragon's Quest, whereas before it was just basically another not Final Fantasy. So, you know, a long-standing tradition, but not really standing out from any other RPG. But they added Akira Toriyama on pretty early on. They probably saw the writing on the wall with that one, that it would not be doing well if they didn't have some sort of a hook. But as far as I can tell, Akira Toriyama kind of is the only hook. Like, I actually would like to, on this series, play the Dragon Quest series. But I admittedly haven't really played them because they haven't really stood out to me in any way other than the artist by Akira Toriyama. Which is great. I love it. But it's not really like drawing me in any way other than that. So that selling part isn't really working on me. I like a good art style, but I like a good game better. You know. So I had played every single Dragon Quest monster, though, aside from the 2 that were not translated. So that was the Caravan Hearts 1 and 2, I believe, on Game Boy Advance or something like that. That's the only 2 I haven't played. But yeah, so having an art style that set itself apart is pretty wild. I can't remember if there was like a point to this conversation other than that, but man, I can't even imagine like for Beasties of Greenhollow, the game that I am publishing. Yes, the game that I am publishing. I haven't really had too much of a hand in it other than just sort of top-level directorial choices on what to work on and when to work on it, on what to prioritize, you know, how many hours we have a week to work on, and some things like, okay, do this to focus on the game experience, that kind of stuff is what I do. But mostly it's a project of passion. Wow, that was difficult to say. Project of passion of the developer, Disco Reptile. So it's really his baby. And so all the art and everything is really him. And it wasn't until afterwards, like towards the end, that I brought on a second artist who I really kind of met purely by chance. In case you're wondering, I personally post my job listings on Upwork. It's just convenient, really. Like, I don't particularly like Upwork or anything. I find some of their policies quite annoying. But it's pretty reliable to find people. So I can tell you, if you're looking for that sort of creative or freelancey kind of things, Upwork is pretty good. There's legitimately people listing jobs on there, i.e. myself. So yeah, so I live in America, but I much prefer the labor laws in like the UK. So I hired Disco mostly by coincidence. Oh my gosh. Like, I think I said a while ago that my Lucky Rabbit's Foot friend just kind of like breezed back into my life. And they just kind of brought disco in their wake. Purely coincidental. They're like, this is my favorite streamer. And I'm like, okay. And so I like checked out their stream. They had like a little game going. And yeah, so we met on chance. Let me talk about more of this in the next episode. Otherwise, this is going to get really long. The history of Pandamime Studio LLC and what we're doing. Anyway, if you're enjoying this conversation on game development, give a like and have a great rest of your week. And bye.